Hello and welcome back for another video session, and this time I'm doing beef short ribs. So first thing off the bat, this is definitely going to be sometimes cooked for me. Couple of reasons. The first reason is this is actually really expensive meat. Just this amount here I paid $40 for. So, you know, and clearly that'll be enough to feed two, maybe three, well, probably three people you'd get out of this. But, you know, for $40, you know, you could argue, yeah, briskets, you know, about $80, $90. But the thing is, with a brisket, we've cooked brisket and we've fed, what, 20, 25 people before. So, in terms of, you know, making your money stretch, this is, you know, definitely going to be tasty, hopefully, if I do it right. But yeah, it's not a cheap cut of meat, so definitely not something you would want to be doing every week. But you know, hey, it's barbecue, it's going to be fun. This is my first time doing beef ribs. I put on my Facebook post, so you'll see me do the whole thing my first time. So, and the other thing too is I'm not actually going to be using alfoil this time to wrap up the beef ribs with. I'm actually going to be using this stuff here, which is like a pink butcher's paper. I've seen tutorials and I've read about it, and it's supposed to give you a much better bark as opposed to alfoil. I would use this sparingly as well, mainly because that was $75. So, you know, we're looking over $100 just in this and that bit of paper. So it's not a cheap exercise. So again, this is just, you know, I'm doing this for a bit of fun. And I'll be using this pink paper quite sparingly. My wife's rolling her eyes saying, I can't believe you just spent that sort of money. So we don't want anyone's wives rolling their eyes every weekend, so I don't do this all the time. Okay, so first thing we want to do, it's beef. You can see there, it's actually quite meaty though. So there's a lot of meat on here as well. We're going to treat this very similar to a brisket in terms of preparing it. A bit like pork spare ribs in this fact that I'm going to remove the membrane on the bottom. I've seen different Facebook posts and videos of some people leave the membrane on, some people take it off. They believe if you leave the membrane on it, it can help hold the meat together on the bones. There's probably truth to that. However, I was watching a video, Rick RG is one of our people we see all the time, and he's actually suggesting to remove the membrane, so that's what I'm going to do today. Actually going to take this off. So it's a lot thicker than the pork spare rib membrane. So we're going to just cut. It is lifting. So yeah, you can see there it's a lot of a thicker membrane. So again, be super careful when you do this. All right. Now I've lifted it, hopefully. I can do similar to how I did the spare ribs. Get the towel for a bit of grip. And I should be able to just take this off. I mean, it definitely needs a lot more work than the spare ribs do. So we've gotten that far. Let's just keep going, eh? Seeing this trick done as well. That's better. Will we use a spoon to remove it? And I'm super careful with this, not only because I don't want to make a mess of removing this membrane. The other thing is too, because of what we pay for the meat, we don't want to be taking too much meat off this either. So, yeah, much tougher. So a sharp knife is really helping this as well. But with a bit of work, here we go. So that is tough as all boots. So this, you can still see there's enough connective tissue holding this meat in. Just guiding a knife through. I'm almost cutting this membrane off as opposed to just peeling it off like I did with the spare ribs. But that's okay. It's really cold here this morning too, isn't it, Donna?
Yes, it's 5 degrees today.
5 degrees.
At the moment anyway. It's freezing.
So we're hoping it warms up. Welcome to Adelaide's
Winter weather.
winter weather, yeah. So I can see there, I've actually taken most of it. It's actually not too bad. And I'm probably being really picky now. My wife will tell I'm very picky when I come to barbecue. So that's most of the membrane off now. So yeah, I'm kind of, I do this all the time, don't I, people? I always say I'm happy with that, but then I say, no, I'll be happy with it if I don't stab myself.
Mm.
No, I didn't stab myself. Okay. You know what? I think that's going to be okay. I'm just going to leave that on. But yeah, you can see there, most of the membrane I've actually come off. It's exposed the bone. So we've got to flip this over now. We'll start on the other side. I'm just making sure I didn't stab myself there. No, I didn't. Okay, so this silver skin, unlike brisket though, I'm not gonna leave any of this fat on the top, mainly because there's so much fat in the middle in the marbling of it. So you really don't need, and this is more what they call silver skin. So this is stuff you want to get off. And again, when I was watching Rick do this on his recent video, he took most of it off. So what you do, you don't want to be cutting this off too much though, because you only want to take off the silver skin, not the meat. So start, yeah, there we go. So just on the surface. Alright, you're probably going to get a little meat off, but you can see there most of that's fat that I'm getting off. Alright. So I'm just going to keep working on this. Yeah, just to get as much of this silver skin off as I can. And cut away from you, because otherwise what just happened a minute ago could happen, and it could be more catastrophic in terms of you don't want to cut yourself. You don't want to cut yourself. And I know I'm videoing this, but even then I'm taking my time doing this a bit because just the meat, you want to keep as much meat on the top as you can. So you're basically just trying to take off this surface layer of fat. So a bit like a brisket in the sense I'm just holding this at a better angle so I can get this off. And although this is a smaller bit of meat obviously than a brisket, it's equally as challenging to get this fat off. Again, you're seeing me do this for the first time, so. And I'm applying the same technique, similar technique to a brisket. Except brisket you could probably go in a bit deeper because, the fat's a lot more denser. So. Again, trying to cut away from myself as much as I can. You know. Just going to work on getting this bit off first. And definitely a sharp knife is absolute necessity to do this right. Okay. Not much more to go, just a little bit here really. So you can see why it's a costly bit of meat, because of the marbling in this, you know. Almost looks like a wagyu. Is there any more there? Maybe it's this bit I can trim off. Again, I'm very cautious with this because I don't want to be taking off too much of this meat. So yeah. So that's it really. I mean, yeah, it's more or less just surface meat that's sort of come off with it, so it's not too bad. I really haven't dug up too much of this meat. So you know what, I'm actually going to leave that on there. That fat will render in fine. So now it's time to actually sauce this up. My dog's been such a good girl as soon as I say that. She was sitting there that whole time. I think it's because I looked at her. So again, we're putting a bit of sauce on here. So the Worcestershire sauce, so the rub will stick. I've seen people use oil, mustard. I don't think there's a hard and fast rule to this, honestly. And the other thing is why you want to take off some of this membrane is you want to penetrate the meat, especially in between here with the smoke. So you want to get, obviously smoke's not going to penetrate the bones, but yeah, the meat here in between. You want to get this, you want to get as much rub as you can on this. So that's plenty of Worcestershire sauce to put it with, to bind it. Now I'm just going to wipe my hands. And the rubs I'm using today is the Lane's brisket rub as well. Lane's is an Australian made company. So this is, I've used this rub before in a smaller brisket, and yeah, I really like this. And again, I like to mix up my rubs. There's so many different rubs you can use. And the other one is Stakeout, which was actually the first rub I ever used when I did my very first brisket. So this is similar to the Hardcore Carnivore Black. It's a local made one as well. Yeah, it produces a nice flavour. So we're going to use a combination of both. This is got a good like the salt and pepper element and garlic powder. I think it's predominant flavours in this. So same technique as a brisket really. Rub it, pat it in. I wonder if I actually took too much membrane off that bone. We'll find out when I cook. Get it in on the side as well. Okay. And this is obviously the the main part of the seasoning, the main part of it, where the most of the seasoning is going to stick is on the meat itself, of course. So we're going to do that. And we're going to actually put this in the tray, which I should have done, but it's okay. So again, we want to cover all the meat. Now we're going to put some of the steak out on as well. Steakhouse is going to give it that nice colour as well, and it'll help produce a really good bark on it. And I hear, and I've seen, using the pink butcher's paper that I'm going to attempt today, this is going to have a nice tasty crust, what they call a bark, which is more or less like a crust on the meat. Because when you use foil, and I'll continue to use foil, number one, it's a lot cheaper, but when you do use foil, you don't get that crispy bark. You still get amazingly tasting meat, all the same. But this, the paper just gives it a bit more of a, I guess, you know, if you grill a chop or something, you have that crispy bite. Some, you know, if you do it right, grilling chicken, that sort of thing. I think the theory is to have a similar crispy sort of thing. So doing it in the tray catches all your seasonings a lot more. So I'm actually happy with that. So that's kind of what that is what it looks like. So that's just going to sit there. I'll probably put the barbecue on it around 10 o'clock, something like that. I've been toing and throwing with my wife, probably driving her nuts, saying, which barbecue am I going to use? Which one of my 6 am I going to use today? And she's rolling her eyes again. But I've decided that today we're going to go with the Traeger one. I could have used my bullet smoker, but it's pretty cold. So, and there's other things I want to do today. So I normally only use the Traeger for overnight cooking, but I'm going to use the Traeger today, just so it can do its own thing, monitor its own temperature. It lets me get on with the rest of my day. The bullet smokers are great. I will always use a bullet smoker, but I think today, because we want to do other stuff, this is why the Traeger is so handy. We don't have to worry about watching the temperature and changing, you know, putting wood in if it, you know, sort of thing. It just does it all itself, so I'm totally cheating. And yeah, so I'm curious to see how this thing goes. We're looking around 8 hours to cook this, I believe. So yeah, we'll start in a couple of hours, and I'll take you, the next video I'll show you probably 2.5 hours into it, just see what it looks like. Oh, one more thing just before we go, is I made a spritz up today as well. Again, it's a bit of a combination really of brisket and pork ribs in the sense of how I'm doing this, but the spritz is basically consisting of about a teaspoon of soy sauce, a teaspoon of the Worcestershire sauce, and I just filled it up with some Coles beef stock actually. So I gave it a bit of a shake. So in about 2.5, 3 hour stage, I'm going to spritz this. It might even be sooner, probably 2 hours, because this is my first time. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to use to actually then spritz the meat and keep it nice and moist. Alright, so yeah, my next video you won't see me firing up the Traeger, because I've done that before. It's the same process. So we'll fire it up in the next video. You'll see me yeah, checking it at that 3 hour mark. Alright, because I figured, like, you know, watching me cook meat on the Traeger isn't that exciting. So and you've seen me do the brisket and so many things before, so but yeah, you'll definitely see 3 hours into it how it's looking. Temperature's going to be 121 degrees Celsius, which is 250 Fahrenheit, which is my smoking temperature for the entire process as well. Okay, so that'll be it for now, and yeah, I'll see you 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours into this cook. Alright, take care. See you then. Ciao.